Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. We're just going to wrap up the black reveals in today's video, and we're going to go over the support coming out for the token Towa deck. This deck, maybe more so than any other black deck, has been on just like a roller coaster of some slight hope, then some absolutely crushing realities, and we'll talk more about that and what I mean in today's video. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to buy any of the cards you see in this video, or any trading cards for that matter, it does really help me out if you were to use my link in the description to TCG Player. It doesn't cost you anything extra, just throws a little bit of a kickback to me, and I really do appreciate the support, guys, as always. Anyways, let's get on into the video, and we will just do a small recap like we've been doing of the leader this support is meant for, and that is the token Towa leader from set 17. So on the unawakened side, less card attacks, play up to 1 Demon Realm Soldier token. So everyone thought it was really rough. This card did not draw on the unawakened side, which is definitely not great. I mean, you can look at the token as somewhat of a draw, but it's basically a blank 5k, and you never really want to combo that token off anyway because you need tokens on your board to facilitate other effects. So yeah, that effect really is a bust in terms of like card advantage. Then we have Awakening Life 3 or less, or you have a black unison with a specified cost of 3 in play. You may switch up 2 of your energy to active mode, play 1 Demon Realm Soldier token, and flip this card over. So the unison for that is Super Miro Overflowing Power. We will read that after we read the Awaken leader, but I do just want to let you guys know they did go ahead and make another unison that can awaken this leader, because that was a big problem. Like, this leader needed to see the unison in order to awaken, otherwise you were just going to literally be starved out of ever drawing cards. So they did make another 3-cost unison. I don't really remember exactly what it does. I don't remember it being very impressive. Like, I don't remember reading the card and saying, wow, this is going to revive Token Towa. But it is there. You might want to run 6 unisons if you play this deck, because there are cards that search the unison. But even with that, you want to make sure you can actually hit the unison, because, again, you do just desperately need it to awaken. So, yeah, I just want to point that out there. Now we have the Awakened side of the leader, Demon God Towa Dark Leader. When this card attacks, draw 1 card, then play up to 1 Demon Realm Soldier token. So now that you have the draw and the token generation, that's nice. Then we have Activate Main once per turn, discard 1 card from your hand, play up to 2 Demon Realm Soldier tokens in rest mode. So a really cool engine that you were able to play with this particular Activate Main is the Kid Goku 4-star ball. I believe it's Kid Goku Adventure Begins. Every single turn you can add a 4-star ball from your drop or deck to your hand, so that'll give you the discard fodder to use this Activate Main, get those soldier tokens, use them for your various effects, and then you would basically have a never-ending loop of card advantage. And you know, in some matchups, the 1-drop can stick a pretty decent amount of time and get you a decent amount of advantage over 2 or 3 turns, especially if you go first. Like, your opponent's gonna have a much harder time getting that card off the board if they go second and need to curve into their removal, right? So yeah, that's a really good engine you might want to look at if you're going to go ahead and play this leader. Just giving you guys some tips, because I did have big faith in this leader and the strategy for a little bit in the set 17 days. It wasn't the right format for it. Unfortunately, the right format never really came around for this deck, but I do think it does some cool stuff. We'll talk more about the issues a little bit later. But we have Activate Battle once per turn, Spirit Boost 1 for a black unison with specified cost of 3 or more. Choose one of your unisons and it gets plus 10k power and double strike for the battle. So one of your methods of, game ending, it's almost like a built-in Champa, which is more important than ever now that Champa is a banned card. And it was also nice too at the time, even when Champa was legal, because the unison swing was pretty non-interactive. Like, your opponent typically couldn't stop that via like some sort of battle trick or anything, so that was always good. But yeah, a little bit of gain ending power. Now let's take a look at the Super Mirror Unison. We have a 3-cost 20k unison. For the longest time, this was the only unison for the deck, making it super hard to awaken. Like I said, there is a new 3-cost unison you may want to include 2 copies of, just for the off chance of not hitting this one. But this one is the real powerhouse. So auto, at the start of your opponent's turn, choose up to 1 of your skillless battle cards and it gains blocker for the turn. +1 Activate Main, simply play up to 2 Demon Realm Soldier tokens, or +1 Activate Main, remove 1 of your skillless battle cards from the game, draw 1 card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and send it to the owner's wharf. That bottom +1 is definitely the one you want to be using more often, because it generates draws and removal. It's just that good. But if you need the extra tokens for your various effects, obviously you use the first +1. But yeah, this is the overall shell. Now let's talk about this deck's biggest problem, which is Secret Identity Mass Sand, or any other cards that can wipe a board full of tokens. There aren't that many of them. Like, Dormant Potential Unleashed is another example, but obviously green has just not been popular even when this deck was released. But the funny thing is, going into set 17, I believe, is when they banned Secret Identity Mass Sand, largely for the fact, not that they explicitly said this, but largely for the fact that this token Towa deck was coming out, and this card single-handedly would just destroy the entire strategy. And of course, like, you could play around this. Like, I was testing the Towa deck with Secret Identity at 4 copies per deck. Not that anyone was playing 4, they were playing 2 at the most, but still, I was testing token Towa, and basically the way to play around that was make sure you use up enough of your tokens to get enough value before you expect the secret identity to come down. Obviously, with secret identity getting banned, it was nice to just not have to worry about that anymore, and you could be a little bit more greedy with your token generation. But now we have secret identity back at 4 copies per deck, so that obviously poses somewhat of an issue for the token Towa strategy if Bandai expects the support to kind of help it get off the ground, right? This is immediately going to be a silver bullet that people are playing anyway. They're not just going to play this card because token Towa exists. They're playing it in their decks anyway. This is many people's overwhelm of choice tied up with the new SS4 Vegeta out of the recent champ pack, right? So it is definitely kind of strange to decide to unban this card and then support token Towa one set later. But let's take a look at the card that Bandai has printed in efforts to help token Towa deal with this issue. We have Towa Rebuilding the Demon Realm. We have a 1-cost 4K permanent. If this card would leave your battle area, remove it from the game instead. Auto, when this card's played, your Demon Realm soldier tokens can't be removed from your battle area by your opponent's skills for the turn. And then activating limit 1, if your leader is a black Demon Realm race, you have a black unit and a specified cost of 3 in play, and you place 1 card from your hand at the bottom of your deck. Play this card from your warp. So the free play aspect of it is pretty cool. However, the early ones you play are obviously going to go from the battle area to the remove from game area, which is not an area, but you know what I mean. So later on in the game, if you do end up tapping out, you can still play this for free and then put some protection on your tokens, which is kind of cool. However, I think this would have been much stronger and still not necessarily broken if it was a 1-drop with barrier that just permanently prevented your tokens from being removed from the board. I think that would have been much more in line of what this deck needs, because now you're kind of putting yourself in a scenario, if you're playing the token Towa deck, where in certain matchups you need to see like all 4 copies of this card, or maybe 3 copies of this card, which we're playing Dragon Ball. We play the most consistent card game out there for the most part, but that's still asking quite a bit, especially in the first maybe 4 turns to see 3 copies of this card. That's going to be a little bit rough. So yeah, I think the 1-cost barrier, just permanently protecting the tokens, I don't think it would have been that broken. Like, you could have even removed the activate main of playing it for free, because now it's got barriers, so you can stick it on your like turn 1 or turn 2 curve and then go into your turn 3 unison from there. I think that would have been much better. This is unfortunately not going to be the best support that's single-handedly going to bring the deck up, in my opinion. But they're in the right ballpark. The tokens definitely need protection, but let's go ahead and read the next support card for this archetype. We have Towa Combo Attack. 2 cost 10k, 5k combo. Deflect. If your opponent has 2 or more energy, you send 1 card from your life to your warp. When this card's played from your hand, play up to 1 black unison, specified cost of 3 and a marker on it. Shuffle your deck. That should probably say play it from your deck. And then send up 2 cards from top of your deck to your warp. Okay, that effect is pretty solid. I don't love that it only plays the unison with 1 marker on it, because using the +1, you'll only get it up to 2 markers, and if you don't have the appropriate defenses to defend it, it's going to be pretty easy for your opponent to get that thing off the board. At the cost of a life, I think this could have maybe put 2 markers on it and then at least let you +1 to go to a 3rd marker. Like, this way you're not up a marker from the original 3 cost, but at least you're at the 3 cost, and you're going to make it a little bit tougher for your opponent to get it off the board. But activate battle once per turn. If you remove 1 of your skillless battle cards from the game, use 1 of your mono black cards with 5,000 combo from your warp in a combo with its skills negated for the turn. Now, this is another interesting kind of support for this deck, because I don't think they've printed any specific Z deck support for this strategy, so you don't necessarily have a super important reason to be making Z energy, except for the good couple black Z cards that black has, which is like the Majin Buu being the most generically good one, right? And maybe Demigra if you're going to play a bit of an overwhelm strategy, although this is not going to be a very overwhelm centric deck. It doesn't necessarily build a drop super well. So yeah, this seems like some maybe misplaced support. However, like, you don't have to play this card in the token Towa deck. Obviously, it's really good in the token Towa deck because it gets you your unison that you need to awaken, and by turn 2 also, that's definitely pretty nice. But yeah, I guess this generation of Z energy is just good for other like overwhelm decks that maybe also want to play token Towa. A thought I'm having right now actually is that this could maybe be decent in Machikobura, because I was talking about in that video how this mirror unison is actually pretty good in the Machikobura deck, because you steal battle cards, they become skillless, you can +1, get rid of the skillless, and remove a battle card from opponent's board and draw a card. So yeah, maybe this is actually pretty good in Meki. That's actually something I might explore in deck building. But yeah, again, for the token Towa decks specifically, this kind of misses the mark. And the final support card we have is Mirror Crater Absorption, which is terribly close to Mirror Crater Absorbed as a title, which is a much older card. We have an 8 cost 30k double strike EX Evolve limit 1 for free, which is kind of cool. If you have 4 or more energy, it goes over a black Towa with energy cost of 5. The only one in the game that I'm aware of is Demon God Towa Furious Onslaught. Then on the Mirror, we have auto once per turn for a black if your leader is a black Mirror or Towa card, and you have you remove 3 or more of your skillless battle cards from the game. When this card attacks, draw 1 card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier and send it to their warp, then switch this card to active mode. So you will get a nice little dual attack out of it, and the barrier removal once again is also nice, which we saw in the Trunks support as well. Definitely something that black decks need. And here's like the main problem with this deck that I should have touched on earlier, but one of the main problems with this deck at the pure point of conception is that this is a black mid-range deck, and historically black mid-range decks have not been very good. Like, the best black mid-range deck is probably Cumber, and even that deck is struggling to top in this specific format. The reason that black mid-range decks don't typically do so well is because they don't have the defenses or the floodgates even that a lot of these other mid-range decks, like namely blue and yellow decks, have. So you can't really play this elongated game where you're trying to generate advantage over several turns because you don't have the efficient defenses to stop what your opponent's doing, not even in the form of really counterplays either. So if you're not super aggressive like the successful black decks of the past have been, like Gogeta Xeno or Vegex, or you're not Hachiyak, which is like the only good black control deck in the game, you're definitely going to struggle as a black strategy without your own built-in floodgate. So something I wanted to point out there. But yeah, so basically with this Mirror 8 cost, you're going to be paying 2 initially for the Demon God Towa. That card essentially has dual attack. You use the auto to restand it, and then you don't want to swing it the second time. You want to instead go for the free EX Evolve of the Mirror Crater Absorption, and then use the third energy to use that auto, get a piece of barrier removal, and then go for 2 30k double strikes. So in the end, you're going 3 energy for 3 double strike swings, 1 at 20k, 2 at 30k. Definitely a decent rate, but again, like if you're tapping out for that, you're going to be pretty vulnerable on the next turn. So overall, I don't think the support is going to really do too much for Token Towa. It might make it more fun at a local level, that's for sure. I can definitely see that being the case, but as far as like making it a black rogue deck that might see any amount of success, I don't really see it. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about this stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.